Russian air defense in Crimea is under threat. Ukraine disables all these systems. To disable Russian air defense systems, Ukraine does not need to destroy all launchers. Losing the radar already puts the system out of action. These nuances were explained by aviation expert and leading researcher at the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, Valery Romanenko, for Channel 24 in the context of preparing large-scale operations in Crimea. In general, when a radar is hit, the entire complex becomes inoperable until it is replenished with a new radar, despite the fact that in general the launchers may be undamaged. Romanenko notes, attacks on air defense in Crimea continue in parallel with attacks on the Belgorod region and attacks by Ukrainian drones on facilities of the Russian military-industrial complex. At the same time, Valery Romanenko notes that operations in Crimea and in the Belgorod region have different goals. In the first case, this is preparation for future strikes to destroy the enemy's logistics. In the second, the protection of frontline territories that the Russians are attacking with the help of the S-300. Recall, Ukrainian forces struck around 15 air defense systems in Russian-occupied Crimea over the past 2 months. The Ukrainian military recently hit several S-300, S-350 and S-400 air defense systems, according to the statement. Ukraine also struck more than 15 radar stations and over 10 control centers stationed in Russian-occupied peninsula. The military sites were located in Crimean settlements Chornomorsk, Tarkankut, Yevpatoria, Saki, Donsk, Belbek, Sevastopol, Alushta, Dzankoy, Mysov, and near Petri Peak, according to the map published by Ukraine's Center for Strategic Communications. Ukraine has carried out several successful attacks against Russian targets in occupied Crimea and its vicinity, heavily degrading the Russian Black Sea Fleet. Air defense losses apparently made Moscow nervous enough to move the latest S-500 systems to the peninsula, Ukraine's military intelligence chief Kirill Budanov said. Russian ships leave Crimea, Ukraine can enter the peninsula without a naval battle. Another Russian warship has been spotted fleeing annexed Crimea, according to Ukrainian Navy spokesperson Captain Dmytro Pletenchuk. Another small Russian ship is making its way out of our Crimea. Run! Run! Pletenchuk said in a post on his Facebook page. Newsweek recalls Russia has been forced to relocate many of its warships away from Crimea to its Novorossiysk base in Russia's Krasnodar region as a result of ongoing Ukrainian attacks targeting its vessels as Kyiv seeks a reverse to Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea. Russian telegram channel Crimean Wind reported that Russia's Bora-class project 1239 hoverborne guided missile corvette was spotted leaving the Black Sea Peninsula alongside a Raptor-class patrol boat a day earlier. Russia's Project 1239 missile hovercraft is designed to combat enemy surface combat ships and high-speed boats. The Russian Black Sea Fleet continues to leave annexed Sevastopol, the channel said, referring to the port city in Crimea. Until now, both of these ships were permanently based in Sevastopol. Russia has relocated some of its prized Black Sea Fleet vessels from its port in Crimea to avoid further losses following successful Ukrainian drone and cruise missile strikes. Satellite images from last October showed that Russia's fleet was fleeing from Sevastopol to Novorossiysk in Krasnodar Krai in southern Russia as Ukraine targeted Moscow's vessels. Ships were also heading to the Russian naval port in Feodosia, further east on the annexed Crimean Peninsula. More recent satellite images from April, shared by open-source intelligence OSINT researcher M.T. Anderson, appear to show that the Black Sea Fleet has largely abandoned its major Crimean naval bases. Pletenchuk said in March that Kiev's ultimate goal is complete absence of military ships of the so-called Russian Federation in the Azov and Black Sea regions. A third of Russia's Black Sea Fleet has so far been disabled, he told Ukrainian outlet RBC. Experts close to Ukraine's defense ministry previously told Newsweek that Kyiv is embarking on a strategy to demilitarize the Black Sea Fleet as part of steps toward eventual liberating the peninsula. In April, British Defence Minister Grant Shapps said that Russia's Black Sea Fleet had been rendered functionally inactive after Ukrainian strikes on Sevastopol. Putin's continued illegal occupation of Ukraine is exacting a massive cost on Russia's Black Sea Fleet, Shapps said in a post on X. Finland wants to get back its lands occupied by the Russians during the Second World War. The Russian army invaded Finland during World War II and took away part of Finnish territory. Finnish President Alexander Stubb stated this at the Peace Summit taking place in Switzerland. The politician complained that the part of the country where his ancestors were born is now under the control of the Russian Federation. Russia invaded Finland during World War II. We lost 10% of our territory, including the land where my grandparents were born and where my father was born, said Alexander Stubb, despite the fact that the president of Finland refrained from making far-reaching statements about the need to return these territories to the control of Helsinki. A hint of this can be read quite clearly in his words. Finland shares an 830-mile border with Russia, along with a combative history. The neighbours have fought numerous wars through the centuries, and Finland was ruled by Russia for more than a century before gaining its independence in 1917. Finns have strong memories of the 1939 Winter War and World War II, when their country fought the Soviet Union and lost territory. After the war, Finland adopted a form of neutrality, bowing to the Soviet threat, and remained outside the Atlantic Alliance for more than 70 years. But Russia's invasion of Ukraine raised fears in Finland, a country of some 5.6 million, that it could be one of Moscow's next targets. Casting aside the tradition of non-alignment, Finland and Sweden quickly moved to join NATO, a step that Russia described as clearly hostile. The Finnish authorities have said they were prepared for nastiness from Russia in response and pointed to the influx of migrants crossing its border as one manifestation of it.